What's going on, guys? This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ back in for another great episode. In today's episode, we're talking about Dynasty Fire Salespeople. This is the first Dynasty content you're going to get here right on Real Deal Fantasy HQ, the latest and greatest content. So, right now, we're going to dip into some Dynasty Fire Sale guys you need to go get rid of now while you can, so you can save some type of face for having them on your roster to begin with. So, I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get right into the episode. So I want to dip a little bit into the Dynasty, universe to where I can reach another audience that can actually get some type of information that's useful for them, for their rosters or in their startups, et cetera, et cetera. You could also use this information right here in redraft, PPR standard, whatever the case may be, of why you shouldn't be touching some of these guys when it comes to draft day. So let me get right into it. First guy I got right now is Devin Singletary. Oh my God, people. Devin Singletary is owned in 95% of leagues on Sleeper, 93% of leagues in Yahoo. He's only being owned because he is the RB1 for a winning team, Buffalo. So I really feel like you need to really look at this for what it is. Devin Singletary doesn't give you week-to-week numbers. He doesn't give you anything that he benefits, being on your squad to help you bring home the gold, people. So 9 games, he has under 10 fantasy points, 0 20-point games, and only 3 fantasy relevant weeks where we can honestly say 2 of those 3 weeks he was on our bench. So again, why is this guy on your roster? Why are you drafting this guy? Why is he still here? Then he's ranked 8th in snap percentages, meaning he's always on the field, but it doesn't benefit us at all with him always being on the field, having those opportunities to put up yards, to catch passes out of the backfield, scoring opportunities, etc., when we don't benefit anything off of it week to week basis. It's not showing anything. I mean, he hasn't finished inside the RB30 once at all. He's been RB31, RB36. He hasn't finished anything inside of that. Not saying, that's terrible. It's actually horrible, being that his ADP in 2020 was the 4th round. What? How? Did people not take Zach Moss serious? Them drafting Zach Moss was sending a message that we realized, hey, we don't think we can get the job done with Singletary, because we all remember Frank Gore there. We're like, why is Frank Gore getting so many touches? Why is Frank Gore, hurting Singletary's value? Because we were actually looking at Singletary's ceiling when Frank Gore was there. And honestly, that's what I feared when they drafted Zach Moss. So let's talk about scoring opportunities as well. I mean, if we look inside the 20 on the red zone, all right? So right now we have Josh Allen with 16 attempts, 5 touchdowns, people, inside the red zone, inside the 20. He has 5 touchdowns. Zach Moss, 16 attempts as well, 3 touchdowns. Now, if we look at Singletary, he has 14 attempts for 36 yards, 1 touchdown. Man, that's not helping us. That's not helping us to have you in our starting lineup to be, fantasy relevant week to week. This is not what's helping us to bring home the gold, people. So, again, you have to look at Singletary, his purpose there on your roster. I really don't see a purpose for him to be on your roster to even exist on your bench at all. You know what I mean? So, again, if we look at it, he has 4 touchdowns in 2 seasons. That's 2 touchdowns per season. And it's kind of like, cool, nice. 2 rushing touchdowns this season. Woohoo. Then he has, 2 receiving touchdowns in 2 seasons. 0 this season. So again, the scoring opportunity isn't there for Singletary. It isn't there to have in your starting lineups, even as a flex or RB3, whatever weird ass fucking, league format you have. He doesn't belong in your starting lineup. So again, we can't depend on him to help us bring home the goal. We can't depend on him to put up fantasy points that are relevant, to beat your opponent. I understand if, you're looking at it as he's the RB1 for a team. In reality, he's not. Josh Allen's the RB1, if we want to be honest with ourselves. And Zach Moss is the one that's being hurt by this, them still putting Singletary out there. Zach Moss deserves Mac touches. And I really feel like, if he gets that opportunity, he develops more with vision, decision making, and et cetera, et cetera. I think Zach Moss can be something special. But right now, we're in a scenario where the Bills honestly need to change something up so they can get to the big dance. They need a running back so they can actually, have Josh Allen sign that contract and have some type of longevity. Because if Josh Allen keeps running around like this, this is where injuries come. And I really feel like they need a solid running back in there to actually take that load off where Allen doesn't really need to do much but other than air the ball out. So if they bring in an Aaron Jones or a Fournette, which I don't think Fournette's leaving, Tampa, but if they bring like an Aaron Jones, you know what I mean? This ultimately just shatters Zach Moss for the simple fact that you still have Singletary there. And I already just told you, Josh Allen still acts as the RB1. So therefore, that would make Aaron Jones like a 1B, a 1A situation where Josh Allen still has that ability to run where he becomes the 1B. I don't know. It just becomes three more people above Zach Moss for opportunities for him to run the ball and get scoring opportunities as well to be fantasy relevant every week. So with that being said, man, you got to sell Singletary. Here's your case. I'll help you out. I'll set you up for success. Here's your case to sell Singletary. He's a RB1 for now. It's still a little early. It's barely February, but he's an RB1 for now on a winning team. And you really don't need to get much in return. You can go ahead and get those late round draft picks for Singletary because you should be getting nothing. The person you're selling it to should just look at you and laugh and be like, suffer. You know what I mean? But again, your case for selling Singletary, he's an RB1 for now. He's on the winning team. And I guess he gives you more PPR value, being that he sees more targets out of the backfield than Zach Moss. That's not really Zach Moss's lane. So there you go. That's your little case right there to build up to go get those late round picks, for Singletary. 'Tis the season, so now we're on to Odell Beckham. A rant was coming from me. You guys know how I feel about Odell Beckham. People in the Wolfpack, my fans, my subscribers, you all know how I feel about Odell Beckham. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, well, we haven't seen much from him in Cleveland. That's a lie because we've seen him complete 16 games in Cleveland and he finished wide receiver 25. You're probably thinking, no, that's not bad. But you have guys like John Brown and Michael Gallup that finished before him at wide receiver 20 and Gallup at wide receiver 22. Yeah, trash. Because you have to think about it. When we're drafting Odell Beckham, we're drafting him, along the lines with guys that we used to mention him with once upon a time, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, D-Hop, et cetera, where we were like, you know what? Odell's up there with them guys. I'll take that investment. That's where you went wrong. You went on base his name. You didn't really look at that he's injury prone. I'm going to chalk it up. I'll give him a slide for 2017 because you cannot predict injury. So 2016, my man's ADP, he finished wide receiver 4. His ADP was in the first round, mid-first round going into 2017. That's fair. He gets injured. We cannot see that. We're not the future. We cannot, see what happens with that. Then he gets shifted to Cleveland. Then, you know what? The last 4 years, we only seen one full season, people. And the last 4 years, we haven't seen anything that we were like, oh, wow, man, I got to have Odell Beckham on my squad. I got to have him on my team. I gotta sit there and just hold on to Odell Beckham as long as I can in Dynasty. I got to redraft. I got to go get Odell Beckham because he's explosive. He's his big name talent. Come on now, please stop with the madness. He has the volume. That's the problem. He has the volume. He's able to get you 1,000 yards. But in the last 3 years, his ADP has not been cheap, people. We have to think about it. Like I said, 2016 to 2017, I chalk it up as a dub. I'll give him that. But the last 3 years, his ADP has been very expensive, and people were going out there reaching on him. 2018, first round. 2019, second round. 2020, the third round. You're probably thinking, hey, the third round, that's a steal. But if we really think about it, how heavy, people go into drafts and redraft, I should say, we're going running back. So you're telling me your first wide receiver is going to be Odell Beckham. Your first wide receiver. And this is why a lot of teams died out, last season because they took Odell Beckham as their wide receiver 1. So we know he's injury prone. A lot of people don't want to have that conversation. He's injury prone. It's okay. It's fine. Accept it. He's injury prone. Just leave him alone. Just stop drafting him. Stop picking him up. And if you own him right now in the Dynasty, sell him while you can. Sell him. Because I know the Browns are trying to trade him. They're just not publicly saying it yet. But trade him because once again, people are going to fall in love. They're going to fall in love as soon as he gets traded. Exactly what happened from the Giants. Oh, he's going to the Browns. Oh, Odell Beckham's going to be great, man. He's going to be fire. He just finished wide receiver 4. Okay, cool. You got that. But now that he's going to a new team, he's going to have the hype videos, going to be revamped. He's going to be more motivated. He's going to be happy. and people are going to want all parts of Odell Beckham. But if he is a Cleveland Brown next year, you should not be touching him. You should not be touching him at all. But again, for the people who own him in Dynasty, this is a Dynasty video. Your case to sell him. One, he's still a big name. I don't understand why people are so in love with him. You would think everybody was a Giants fan or a Browns fan, you know what I mean? But again, he has the potential to be explosive. I do not hate Odell Beckham. Don't get me wrong. He is a very talented wide receiver in real life. I mean, his yak yards, 13.5 yards per catch, and I think that's explosive. That means he's in open space, he's making plays. That we can compare that to Julio Jones, Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill. These guys all make plays in open space. So again, I'm not knocking the kid's talent, but he's a 28-year-old wide receiver, going to be 29, hasn't done much in the fantasy world. The last 4 seasons, he's been dealing with, wishy-washy injuries and all this other stuff. Him finishing wide receiver 25 isn't good to me, being that we hold him to a higher standard. So therefore, going into the next season, if he is traded, this will be the time to sell him. This will be the time to capitalize on those people that are still in love with the name of Odell Beckham. They still had that vision of him making that catch. That's cool. That's great. So for you, your case to sell him is just basically his name. You don't really, it doesn't even matter if he goes to the Patriots and they don't have a quarterback. People are going to run and go get Odell Beckham shares. They're not going to publicly say it, but they're going to be behind the scenes in the group chats and sending offers, whatever. But it's like, why? Why do you want Odell Beckham? I don't get it. Somebody please explain to me why Odell Beckham deserves to be on your roster to help you bring home the gold, people, because he's not on mine. He never will be again. I already learned my lesson in 2017. I'm good, man. I'm very good. Now to another guy. Some of you guys might know that I call him, what's his name again? Tavon Austin. No, that's not his name. Is it Tavon Hollywood Austin? No, that's not it. Oh, Marquise Hollywood Brown. That's who it is. Wide receiver 36. ADP in the 5th round going into 2020, which I didn't understand why, because that's very expensive for him. For the simple fact that he saw 100 targets this year, only caught 58 balls, it doesn't give me vibes that he is the wide receiver one there. And unfortunately, we have to understand he's in a run-first offense. So there's going to be times where, Marquise Brown's open down the field, and then you just see Lamar take off and take it to the house. That is just something you have to deal with owning Marquise Brown. And the thing is, he's not Tyreek Hill. He's more like Tavon Austin and the other speedsters that, burned out. I definitely feel like Marquise Brown is being overvalued and he's owned in way too many rosters. I definitely think, he should be on this list to be a fire sale for the simple fact we have to just accept he's not Tyreek Hill. Everybody's trying to hold him to the standard because he has a Lamar Jackson. He's on a winning team and they're so explosive, et cetera, et cetera. But he's not. He's not Tyreek Hill. They have the formula right. Mahomes is not as, obviously mobile as Jackson, but they have a high profile tight end in Mark Andrews. They have the speedster wide receiver, the Kmart version of Tyreek Hill, and they're trying to implement that. You know what I mean? But it's not working. So Baltimore for next season, they need to figure out what's going to help them get to the big dance. So this is more of a real life situation here. I don't think it's more so a fantasy, but I will say this. I'm not going to knock him for, showing his frustration, week 9. I think it was week 9 and week 10. Don't quote me on that, but it was like mid-season where he tweeted that, we have, our troops, we have our soldiers, but we don't use them. Or something along the lines of that. I'll have to find the tweet again, but he showed frustration of not getting the ball. So ever since then, from week 12 to week 17, it was cute. 5 of those 6 weeks, he found the end zone. He basically doubled his targets. But again, there was times where he got 6 targets, 2 catches, 8 targets, 4 catches. So he's not catching everything that's going towards him. That's the problem. So again, 100 targets, 58 catches. I mean, he had more, targets than Mark Andrews, but the same amount of catches. So he's not giving you your bang for your buck to be getting him in the 5th round. So I don't know what his ADP is going to look like going into this next season. But again, I know for a fact you could still sell him being that he's on a winning team. That's like your biggest case. That should be your number one liner right there. Like they're going to have a lot of scoring opportunities, man. He had 100 targets last season. He's only going to get more. He's been progressing, year after year. That's a good case that you could build to actually sell him, for your people that are still interested in him. But I definitely feel like, Baltimore needs to zone in and focus on bringing in wide receivers because I think Marquise Brown will honestly be better if one, they didn't like rely so heavily on the run, which I don't think is going to change much, but it should change because I don't think that's going to get them to the big dance. But I really think he will be a good complement wide receiver, a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 on that team where you have this big, wide receiver. You have like let's say if they had the formula that the Rams had with Robert Woods, Cooper Cup, and Josh Reynolds or Van Jefferson or whoever. It doesn't matter. So if they have that formula, I think Marquise Brown will actually be good. Yeah. So with them losing, Gus Edwards, possibly he might resign, but they cut Mark Ingram. So I definitely feel like, they're moving in a space where they want to change things up and give J.K. Dobbins the sole, role as the RB1, which I don't think is 100% sure because he still has to deal with Lamar Jackson taking touches. Because there's going to be times where, J.K. Dobbins is going to have like 11 touches or I'm sorry, 11 rushing attempts. And then you're going to have Lamar Jackson have like 14, 15. That's kind of annoying to deal with, being that, you're the running back one, you're the RB1. You should be getting max touches with nobody behind you, nobody really talented that can come from your job. But again, hold up. This is not a J.K. Dobbins, dynasty, vent session. This is Marquise Hollywood Brown, aka Tavon Austin. So I really think you need to go out there and try to sell Brown as fast as you can. I really don't think he should be on rosters. I really feel like, Baltimore needs to change some things up with the system and bring in some wide receivers and focus in on that in the offseason to help Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown might look good, next to Allen Robinson or next to, a T.Y. Hilton or somebody else, somebody else that can come in there and help. I really don't think he should be the sole wide receiver one. He shouldn't be the best wide receiver on that team. Let's just say that. So again, sell him while you can. I really think, people are still going to focus in. Like your best case scenario here is to focus in on that week 12 to week 17. That's your key selling point right there. Thinking, next season they're going to keep that up. He showed his frustration. They're going to keep that up. They're going to keep it up. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But again, I really think he doesn't benefit being on your team because week to week is what you really need to think about. And I really don't think he's going to help you win, these weeks. So this wraps up my Dynasty fire sale video, my first Dynasty video for the Real Deal Fantasy HQ. And I definitely hope you guys liked it. Leave a comment below on what you guys think of the episode. And I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Peace.